the on-demand is it's a nice definition, and you want that in a lot of areas. I mean, if I could just buy accident cover when I'm going in for a bungee jump or playing sports, that's really ideal for me. The way we've seen some of this really be applicable in the group space is not really intentional. So we had a customer who wanted something that covered for their part-time employees, something where they could bill people for the amount of time that they were really employed. Think of construction workers who are going to be there for some amount of time, then that project's over, then there's a gap, and then they come back and start working on another project. Somehow they wanted to cover that. They had a particular type of business for that, and they wanted to be able to bill when these people came on rolls, they went off, but they were not employees that were getting terminated or suspended. They were just employees that were working on a part-time basis. So that's pretty common in the group world. But what we are really looking at is how do we take that concept and apply as an on-demand model so that it's not just from a part-time standpoint, it's applicable in all the other contexts. So sometimes the idea is not really new. The idea is something that's been existing for a long time, but you can actually build on that idea and create something that's very new. And what we did with this whole pay-as-you-go model in the group, voluntary, and individual space is really to kind of take this, where you can actually rate these groups or these individuals based on the duration that they're going to be employed for over a period of 1 year. How do you want to kind of do that? If you want to only cover them during certain events, how do you want to rate them? So the rating, the flexibility in the first place is at the rating level so that you can price things accordingly. The next stage is how do I make sure that there are transactions and the data about these employees are updated? So the enrollment and maintenance pieces for these individuals is also kind of tuned to kind of capturing the information as they get it. And finally, how do I bill it is again depending on how I collect the information about how much time they actually spent working for that, and accordingly billing the premium or charging them for the premium based on how much risk that actually came to my books. And finally, when it comes to claims, how am I kind of calculating their annual maximums, their final, the lifetime maximums, etc., is the last part of the puzzle. So when we looked at on demand, we didn't just look at it that, hey, you can create an innovative product and you can rate it, but across the life cycle, all the way down to claims, we've kind of thought through and implemented that. And we didn't just implement it for one product, but any product, whether you want to kind of give a life cover when someone's like me wants to do a bungee jump, well, you can actually take a life cover at that time. That's a high risk option not many people will go to. But when you think of products like critical illness, when you think of products actually more like accident or hospitalization, those are more likely if you're covering sports events, if you're covering school football, if you're covering basketball. When you're covering these kind of events, it's a much more meaningful product and a much more meaningful concept to apply and actually decide how you want to kind of price that risk for a short period of time. Because, yes, there are injuries in school football, but how much is the injuries is something that you can actually measure and put a risk value to it.